What's up, guys? It's your girl Tasha, back in 2020 for Saturday Scares. I know I owe y'all some videos, so I'm gonna try to do two. I know today is probably not Saturday that you get this, but who cares? Think I'm gonna do just like a regular video, and then I'm gonna do one with webtoons. So I'll put up one today, and then I'll probably do one tomorrow on Saturday. So without further ado, the first video I'm gonna do is called 8 Extreme Haunted Houses That Take It Too Far. This was sent in by, let me not lie, MCU DCTV. So let me get this ready and let's start. I hope y'all having a good start to y'all new year already. We're still in January, but it's almost February. Let's go. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm gonna turn this down so y'all can hear me.
Number 8, Dead of Night. Dead of Night was an attraction on Long Island which had one of the most horrifying haunt openings many had ever seen.
No.
Everyone waited in lines listening to a calming "We are here for your protection" recording.
Everything will be okay. You are safe.
Are you?
We are here to protect you and care for you. We love you. Nothing is real. All is
Taken
well.
into a state of...
Which was interrupted at intervals by an air raid siren and men in gas masks and suits who each grabbed an unsuspecting patron and dragged them into the haunt.
I ain't going
However,
like that.
you'd be lucky if you were dragged in. Some people were zipped into body bags, and some were thrown over actors' shoulders and carried inside. The haunt opened with this very strong abduction scenario, then the focus shifted to humiliation, which included the smearing of strange substances on patrons' faces, and even hitting people in the face with large and painfully heavy objects, going as far as fake genitalia. Dead of Night has been discontinued from the Chamber of Horrors this past year.
I bet.
Number 7, Scarehouse The Basement. The basement at Scarehouse is an intense, immersive, and interactive experience inside a nearly 100-year-old historic and apparently actually haunted building.
Oh no. See?
You may enter in pairs or alone, though odds are not many people will be entering this place alone. The actors in this haunted house are incredibly convincing, and there's a lot of improvisation and dialogue as you make your way through each scene of your own personal horror movie. It's not possible to make it from start to end without coming into contact and having to deal with the actors playing with you for a while.
No.
There is extreme physical contact, sexual undertones, real electric shock, religious and much more. Like most on this list, you must sign a waiver before entering.
Who signed up for this?
The basement can get so disturbing that the attraction responsibly has a safe word to yell out if a patron happens to feel violated or too uncomfortable. Number 6, The Cult. The Cult was an attraction located in North Conway, New Hampshire. The Cult has been called the ultimate in terror, only for the die-hard fans of true horror, for those who want the true experience of real-life terror to test your fears. It is an hour-long attraction and you must walk through alone, absolutely no groups allowed.
Oh no, by myself for an hour?
You encounter violent and sexual situations and would be touched many times. Many times. As the nervous patrons meet a man before entering the attraction who asks if they have any problems with darkness, heights, claustrophobia, eels, rats, bugs, needles, or being fully submerged in water, one would have to wonder, what am I getting myself into?
Goodbye.
Patrons are given a red card on a lanyard.
Oh, that mouth though.
If one decides the experience is too much, they can give up their safety pass and it will be over. And then, one by one, patrons would be asked to step into a chairlift that leads to a dirt path, which would then lead to a cabin where you would meet a man who would shove you into a booth, yell at you, spray unknown liquids in your mouth, throw a bag over your head, and then carry you outside, where the simulated torture continues. As one continues on, it only gets worse.
What the hell?
Throughout the attraction, you encounter live animals, for instance, having cockroaches crawl over you, forced edibles, for instance, being forced to drink animal urine, extreme violence, extreme sexual violence.
How y'all get away with this?
The cult has been closed since 2013.
I bet. That is
Number
disgusting.
5. Blackout Haunted House. This haunted house has 2 locations, one in New York and one in California. It features extreme violence, full frontal nudity, sexual situations, forced edibles, submersion in water, physical contact, and you must enter alone.
Nope.
Patrons have
Ain't
been
no telling what's
abducted in
happening to folks up in
vans,
there.
faux waterboarded, and even rolled naked in a sheet of plastic and forced to walk barefoot down a used condom-covered hallway.
Ew, that is
Said hallway
disgusting.
would lead to a sexual assault scene, with a horrifically tall figure having sex with a frail woman in a blood-covered bed. As a patron would pass, the tall man would stand up exposing his nude body and then make physical contact with the patron. Blackout overall relies on darkness, loud noises, violence, and sexual situations to terrify its customers. Until recently, it has been a solo-only experience, but now groups are allowed. Number 4,
That shit
Shocktoberfest
still running,
Naked and
bitch.
Scared Challenge. Shocktoberfest has proven that, along with intellectual and physical
Naked
fears,
and
haunted
Scared
houses can
challenge.
also tap into superficial fears, namely the fear of one's own body. The Naked and Scared Challenge allows guests to traverse a dark haunted house nearly nude, literally stripping off outer layers of protection. However, after a brief battle with a local township, the creator of the attraction decided he couldn't allow guests to participate naked, so guests are now to wear the smallest underwear they could fit into. Guests of the attraction have said removing clothing makes the experience more intrusive, personal, and intimate. Employees use special techniques and scare devices, for example, water and air blasts among others, to heighten the experience. Coupled with near-freezing fall weather, it becomes a rush for those who are daring enough to go through in their underwear.
Look at her, she was
When
ready.
patrons have that psychological
Karen.
layer of protection removed, it's a whole new sense that's available to be entertained and exploited.
Let's go, Doug. Let's take off our clothes and go in this haunted house.
Number 3,
Oh, that
Freakling
clown.
Bros Victim Experience 3. This Las Vegas attraction features partial nudity, submersion in water, electric shock, and extreme physical contact. The victim experience is incredibly intense and you must go through alone. Patrons will experience extreme physical contact, light torture, simulated drowning, and more.
I ain't
One
got
patron said
time.
he
Like, who
watched the
said this shit was
camouflaged
alright?
attacker appear out of nowhere, grab his colleague by the foot, then knock her down and drag her away down a long hallway. He was left alone in the darkness until the attacker came back for him and threw him over his shoulder. Patrons will experience real electric shock as well as the feeling of near drowning as they are submerged underwater.
Why you wanna die?
As the title of the attraction suggests, once you enter, you are a victim. You will experience pain, you will be tied up, and you may be carried and thrown. Freakling Brothers actually runs 3 haunted houses every year: Castle Vampire, Circus of Horrors, and Gates of Hell. The Gates of Hell became one of the first haunted houses in the country to be R-rated due to graphic content and the requirement of patrons to be over 18 and sign a waiver.
Wow.
The victim experience takes place in the Gates of Hell, and it simulates what it would be believed to be like to die and actually go to hell. Without giving too much away, victims are put in several scenes where they're touched, forced to get down on their knees, and subjected to things that anyone would find shocking.
That probably got y'all
Number
sucking
2,
hard
the
dick
Raven's
up in this
Nest.
damn
One of the lesser
haunted
known
house.
extreme haunted houses,
out here
the
licking
Raven's Nest
dirty
has been
penis.
closed since
That's
2009.
hell, alright.
It had been closed after it was deemed as too
Tired.
extreme by the town. The Raven's Nest featured actors who were paid to induce pain on the patrons, as well as other humiliating methods of torture. The owner, Mike McMayer, would hire mostly larger, more intimidating actors who would be capable of easily picking up, tying, or shoving patrons. Visitors would also be kicked to the floor and forced to do things like lick the ground,
This shit is
eat
disgusting.
disgusting foods and liquids off the floor, and even have actors stick their fingers down patrons'
Oh my
throats to
God.
induce vomiting. The attraction also played with claustrophobia, having patrons crawl through air vents filled with real cockroaches and spiders, as well as constant tight and cramped rooms and pathways.
I'm
There was
tired.
no safe word, which may have been a small factor in the eventual closing of the Raven's Nest. Number 1, McCamey Manor. This San Diego attraction shouldn't even be in the same category as regular haunted house attractions. This extreme haunt tops this list because it can use scare tactics that are off limits to professional attractions. It also can't be said that what goes on in this place is safe.
Please let me out, please!
Participants are covered in blood, forced to eat disgusting things, threatened with power tools, stuffed in a clothes dryer, submerged in water, physically assaulted, forced to drink urine, and even given an unwanted haircut.
Done.
Are you quitting? Say it then.
I'm quitting.
No, you're not. Pick her up here. Pick her up.
This is disgusting. Bitch, I was gonna fight somebody to get up out of it. Oh no, no,
blood, commonly their own, and so far nobody has made it through to the end. There is no safe word, and they only pull the plug when medically necessary.
Wow.
This house plays with people's fears of claustrophobia, with tight spaces and corridors, people's fears of spiders, with restrained victims having up to or even more than 4 tarantulas crawling over their faces.
Nope.
People's
Somebody
fears
was gonna
of
die
clowns,
today.
and just about anything else you could think of.
I was gonna fight my way out of that bitch. You're not gonna tell me I paid my money to be
fucked on for
over.
about 5 to 8 hours. Maybe
5
that's
to
why
8
nobody's
hours.
made it through to the end yet. The McCamey Manor house
is
is
wrong
for
with
extreme
y'all?
horror lovers only, who wish to experience what true terror or gross out torture feels like.
I'm a whole
But
pussy
apparently
if I
there
had
are
to
a
go
lot
through
of
that.
people
I'm
who
not
wish to
doing that.
experience it, as there's a waiting list of more than 17,000.
Y'all take your ignorant asses on. Here's a clip of 2 men who don't know what they're getting into. Oh my god, they got footage. Y'all, I'm tired, bro. This video got my head hurting.
So this is our video to you, Russ. Wish us luck. Checking in, everybody.
Good luck, bitch.
Again, we love you all. Mwah.
Oh, okay, Mario and
Bye.
Luigi.
See you soon. See ya. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know.
I want to quit. I want to quit.
20 minutes
I
in,
want to
bro.
quit.
Get those hands up. Why are you crying? Why are you crying?
Because I'm a big pussy, Russ.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys are fucking freaking me out. Sorry, sir.
It's because you're useless.
Stay there. Mind it, I'm scared.
Yeah. You know what? We haven't started yet. We haven't started yet. We haven't started yet. We haven't started yet. Why are you crying?
I'm scared, Russ.
Yeah, you better be scared. Okay, give us more water. Let me relax. You're okay. We're okay right now. Okay.
Yo, that's wild.
All right.
The people that doing it is more fucked up than the people that want to go.
Nobody should fucking do this.
Yeah.
Nobody should do this.
I don't even know how to comment on the shit that I just saw. Like, I'm not signing up and paying no money for somebody to fuck me over like that. Like, boo, it's nice to get a good scare, but like that's too much. That is too much. Let me find the next video because I'm tired. Let me see, can I find something short? Out of all the videos I got. How long is this? 5 minutes. What is this? So I have a video, horror story animated. I used to work the graveyard shift at Dunkin' Donuts. Let's see who sent me this. Jordan sent this. So Durkin Donuts, okay, and not sandwiches. So we're gonna do this video, and then we probably gonna call it for this one.
I used to work the graveyard shift at a Dunkin' Donuts. For those of you who don't know what a Dunkin' Donuts is, it's basically a donut chain that sells coffee, breakfast items, and of course, donuts. This brings me to a little over a month ago when our location was recently selected to become 24 hours.
Oh no.
A lot of other establishments would maintain a 24-hour drive-through window, but ours was fully open. I'll be honest, it was interesting to see the new types of customers who would come in during these hours. We of course had the hipsters and goths who had nothing better to do at 3 a.m. than to sit in a coffee shop drinking 1 cup for an hour. There were the occasional overworked businessmen and interns, trying desperately to finish that last-minute presentation. A couple weeks ago, I had encountered a new type of customer, though he is very difficult to describe. Have you ever met someone that makes you nervous for some unknown reason? Well, at around 2:30 a.m., a man walked in with a large overcoat, with the collar pulled up, and a black beanie on his head. What struck me as odd first was the lack of people in our lobby. Normally at this time, we'd have the goths huddled in the corner cursing the system or something. But the entire store was empty aside from this man, myself, and my manager who was in the back. Probably sleeping or something. After this person walked in, I thought it had to
Did
be
I
a
watch
douchebag,
this before?
trying to escape the cold and possibly seek out a hot cup of pity.
I don't know.
But then I saw his
If I
face.
did, I don't remember
He
it.
was somewhat gaunt, but cleanly shaven. His eyes had dark circles around them as if he were tired, but he seemed quite energized. He then walked up to the counter. At that moment, I realized how tall this guy was. Like Kobe tall. I asked him what he would like to order. He just stared straight ahead as if he were zoning out. I repeated my question a bit louder. He only said one word. Coffee.
Well, I feel like I've seen this. I hope I haven't.
The man then leaned down and looked me in the eye and asked me if I was alone. I told him I
No.
wasn't, that my manager was in the back room. He then pulled out a few crumpled up dollar bills, handed it to me, and then walked back out of the door without taking his coffee with him. As soon as he left the building, I felt this intense atmosphere lift up from around me. I was at a loss for words, to be honest. I quickly
Sorry,
rushed to
guy, I
the
didn't mean
back
to scare
and told my
you.
manager about the whole situation, to which he told me to put the man's money aside in case he comes back for it. The next night, everything was back to normal. The usual customers sat in their respective seats, sipping their coffee. While I was keeping myself busy and mopping the floor, I couldn't help but think about the interaction I had last night. That's when I happened to look out of our front window. And I saw
Take
him.
your ass on, sir.
He was
We
standing
closed.
across the street under a streetlight. He was just standing there, staring at me. I turned to see if my manager was behind the counter, and when I looked back,
Oh.
he was gone. At that point, I was starting to feel unnerved.
Who
My last night working here
can
was the worst by
say
far,
where the road
and also
is?
the reason I quit. I had arrived at work and relieved the people working before me. That's when I received a call from my manager telling me that he had a family emergency and would be a few hours late. I was upset, but there wasn't much I could do, so I just
I
said
feel like I heard the story, but I
after
haven't
3
seen this
uneventful
animation.
hours of me cleaning the same racks over and over again to keep my mind off things, I glanced out of the window once more. What I saw made my blood turn to ice. The
Oh.
man was standing on the other side of the window. He was grinning at me with a sinister smile that caused my body to seize up. Right away, I pulled out my
The way
cell
he
phone and called
posed
the
in front of
police.
this window.
While my phone was ringing, the man did something strange. Without peeling his eyes from the glass, he pulled out a cell phone from his pocket. I watched him carefully as he began to type
I
something into
think
the
I
phone
did
without even looking
hear
at it.
this story before.
At that
Called the
moment, my phone
manager. He
buzzed
called from the
with a
manager
variety of a
phone.
text. The message said, "Now you're alone."
Beach. Well then. Oh, not this. I'm tired. This elevator music after that traumatic experience. But what, this been almost 20 minutes. I'm gonna end the video here. Tune in tomorrow for another Saturday Scare. I'm gonna post this one today, but tune in tomorrow for another Saturday Scare. So I appreciate y'all watching and still supporting. So until next time, guys, peace.
You already watched, so you might as well subscribe, please.